You didn't deserve to learn strength this way, but life didn't give you a choice, did it? And I know you felt it. That moment when pressure didn't just appear, it collapsed on you, not slowly, not politely. It hit like a truth you kept running from. A truth you were never prepared to confront. And in that moment, you realized something terrifying. You realized how alone you truly were inside your own mind. Because nobody sees the weight you carry. Nobody hears the conversations you have with yourself at night. Nobody understands how many times you kept quiet, not because you were weak, but because you were tired of explaining your pain to people who always made it about themselves. And you, the one who always held others together, started to fall apart quietly, silently, without letting anyone notice. Because you learned that vulnerability is a luxury only the protected are allowed to have, and you've never been protected. You've only been used, exploited, manipulated, conditioned to doubt your own instincts. You remember the first time someone twisted your words until you questioned your own memory. You remember the guilt they made you carry, guilt that never belonged to you. You remember the shame they planted in your chest, making you feel smaller, quieter, easier to control. That shame became a language you learned too well. People think dark psychology is something distant, something academic, something cold and clinical. They don't realize it lives inside you. They don't realize you felt the silent punishment of emotional withdrawal. The sting of being ignored when you needed comfort. The quiet cruelty of being blamed for someone's pain while they took everything from you. Trauma bonding didn't feel like manipulation. It felt like maybe this is what love is supposed to feel like. And that's the cruelty of it. You weren't broken. You were shaped. Shaped by hands that never intended to lift you, only hold you in place. But here's the truth you try not to admit. The pressure didn't just break you. It awakened something inside you, something cold, something precise, something that refuses to be deceived again. And that awakening is the beginning of becoming a monster when it matters most. Not a beast without control, but a protector forged by every lie, every manipulation, every moment you were pushed to the edge and forced to swallow your pain. Because monsters aren't born from darkness. They're born from survival. And you've survived everything they said would destroy you. Human behavior becomes brutally honest when the pressure hits. Masks crack, intentions surface, loyalty evaporates. Suddenly, the people who needed you become strangers, and the people who claimed to love you become silent. You learn in those moments that manipulation isn't always loud. Sometimes it's soft, warm, familiar. It comes from the people who say they care, but their version of care depends on your obedience. They condition you without you realizing it. First with affection, then with fear, then with guilt, then with silence. This is how emotional abuse works. They create the wound, then offer themselves as the only cure. You start to believe losing them would destroy you, even though keeping them is already destroying you. That's trauma bonding, the mind clinging to the very thing that's harming it, because the pain is predictable, and predictable pain feels safer than the unknown. Gaslighting isn't just someone denying reality. It's someone replacing your reality with theirs. They tell you you're overreacting. Too sensitive, too emotional, hard to love, difficult, unstable, but look closer. Every flaw they pointed out was something that made you harder to control. Your intuition, they shamed it. Your boundaries, they mocked them. Your emotions, they weaponized them. Dark psychology says the strongest control is the one the victim believes is their fault. And you believed it. Because you cared, because you trusted, because you were human. But pressure exposes everything. It reveals who truly values you and who only valued your compliance. It reveals who stands with you and who stands on you. When pressure hits, manipulators panic. Their power depends on your confusion, your silence, your self-blame. When you start questioning the narrative, they lose control. When you stop apologizing for things you didn't do, they lose influence. When you stop trying to fix what you didn't break, they lose access. That's why they fear the moment you wake up more than anything. Because the moment you stop shrinking yourself to make them comfortable, they realize the version of you they controlled no longer exists. And that is the moment you become something they can't manipulate, something they can't shame, something they can't define. That is the moment you become the monster pressure created, not cruel, not careless, not heartless, but untouchable. There comes a point where you stop wanting people to understand you. You stop needing validation. You stop chasing closure. You stop explaining your pain to people who benefit from your confusion. You stop bleeding for people who never learned how to hold you. And something shifts, quietly, powerfully, without asking permission. You start reclaiming pieces of yourself you forgot you ever lost. You start trusting your instincts again instead of second-guessing them. You start noticing red flags you once excused. You start walking away from toxic relationships without apologizing for choosing yourself. You start seeing manipulation for what it is, a performance, not a reflection of your worth. Your boundaries stop feeling selfish. They start feeling holy. You stop fearing solitude. You start fearing the wrong company. You stop treating love like proof of value. Your value becomes non-negotiable. This is what becoming a monster under pressure truly means. It means you stop allowing your emotions to be a playground for someone else's mind games. You stop letting guilt control your decisions. You stop letting fear silence your voice. You stop letting shame define your identity. Pressure didn't ruin you. It refined you. It stripped away your illusions. It burned away your weakness. It carved out a version of you that finally sees reality clearly. A version of you that knows how to protect your heart. A version that trusts your intuition like a weapon. A version that sees manipulation before it reaches you. A version that no longer flinches when someone tries to control your emotions. You don't rise by being gentle with the things that broke you. You rise by becoming the person they can no longer wound. And maybe, just maybe, this was always the version you were meant to become. Not fragile, not uncertain, not apologetic, but powerful, quietly, deeply, unshakably powerful. Because when pressure hits, the world expects you to shatter. But you didn't. You transformed. And in the silence of your own mind, where no one else can hear you, a truth settles like a slow breath. The monster you became was never meant to destroy others. It was meant to protect the person. You finally refused to abandon yourself.